way back with Mathematic 2. The game actually got to name them. Big Boutte is a highling cleric that we found in the game. It's a good name. And the fact that he has 69 hit points is a coincidence, but it's still a pretty funny coincidence. We've entered the code. Because of your superior intellect and diligence, you have saved Kron and all of its warrants. This ship, created by the ancients, is a grand experiment designed to populate this distant world. Prepare to beam down in Might and Magic 3. It's here, on the floor. I didn't see it. Thank you, my friends. You have banished chaos and rejected the false path of uncompromising order. Under the weight of the evidence and from the skilled pressure tactics of your lawyer, Lucas breaks down and admits to their crime. Congratulations, Ace. I think we're having a real moment here. I've changed my mind. I can't give her up. You can have your money back. How could I sell something so dear? And again, a deal's a deal, right? Right? Catch you later. Good luck. Enjoy. I'm out of here. Let's pick up the bottle of grog here. Pick up the root beer. Use the root beer with the jug. Apparently root beer works very well. We get to see an instant replay. And a view from the blimp as well. I wonder what would happen if I tore the leg off this thing. Ark.
You have a reservation. Madre de Dios, es el pollo diablo. Come on, I'm ready for you.
Yeah. Here it goes.
Enter visualization request.
Let's try it in the other order.
Subject code accepted. 645231 recognized. Beginning message.
Grand experiment of the ancients to use the technology of elemental manipulation to create a completely viable ecological and social microcosm. This microcosm was then to be transported to a distant biosphere, Terra, to supplant its indigenous ecosystem. The need was acknowledged for a central controlling unit capable of compensating for expected anomalies.
Well struck. That looks like a fatal blow.
Yeah, die.
My death will not save you from our wrath.
Are you going to plug me into Link, sir? I hope you know what you're doing.
have no idea what we're doing. But,
Something is happening, I think. Yes, I'm gaining control. I found my destiny, Mr. Foster.
goes in the middle. Perhaps we didn't even need to know that. The yellow crystal is over on the left side. And the blue one is on the right side. Switch to Annie. Have her pull the lever to close the trapdoor. Have her push the switch on this side. Switch to Zack. Have him push the switch on this side. On our way through this wall. Another mini boss. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Now there's voice. Good evening, Kaluya. Hello there, Magic Weiner. Yeah, I'm sorry. It was correctly set up, but still not working, oddly enough. Is it clipping? It seems to be a little bit loud. Yeah, I should turn down the amplification just a little bit so it doesn't clip. But here we are with the first installation of Might and Magic 9. We flew through Might and Magic 8 in what was only 16 parts, oddly enough. And the quickest we've beat the game so far. And possibly one of the most enjoyable as well. It was it's quite good. Storyline is pretty solid. Most of the surroundings are pretty good as well. I was pretty happy with that one. Remains to be seen how happy we will be with 9. I've been warned multiple times that it's that it can be quite broken in parts. I've installed all of the user-made patches for it, bringing it up to version 1.3, which is the first sort of stable version. And I've also installed a little bit of a patch which prevents it from breaking without when you have external sound cards installed into the machine, because it was crashing on startup for me. So I have a replacement direct input DLL that I placed in the folder, which seems to prevent that problem from occurring. Well, that's good. And as per usual with these games, we'll start out by reading the manual. My Stream Deck is broken. It broke with the OBS update. OBS was updated to 30.10 and seems to have broken some API which the Stream Deck is using. I have to switch the scenes manually, which I haven't done forever and ever. But here's the node cam. And here's a bit of some sort of background music, which I suppose is good. I'll turn it down a little bit, but just to have something in the background. Now the story with this game is that pretty soon after they released game number 8 came game number 9, and quickly on its heels. And 3DO company was just about bankrupt during the development of this game, and it was rushed out, possibly to try to make the company a little bit of money. It's generally regarded as unfinished, and which is probably why it's had so many community patches. It generally gets very poor reviews, partially because of that issue. But here's the welcome letter from JVC. Dear Might and Magic fans, if you're an old-time fan of the Might and Magic series, then you're in for a real treat. We've taken your excellent suggestions and used them to make what we think is the best Might and Magic game ever. If you're new to Might and Magic, you're about to take your first steps into a world that is filled with fantastical monsters, forbidding dungeons, and legendary heroes. We've made a lot of new changes that will make this experience as fun a game experience as we've had. We've enhanced the skill system, made the dungeons better and the monsters smarter. Due to your suggestions, the NPCs you hire will once again be able to fight alongside you in your quests. We had a great time making Might and Magic, and I hope you will have as much fun playing it as we did making it have fun. Sincerely, Björnman Cunningham, creator and designer, Might and Magic 129. So that sounds good. Always the troll. So what's new about Might and Magic 9? Might and Magic veterans are going to immediately notice the amazing improvements and innovative features in this new installment of the award-winning series. For the first time ever, players will be presented with a breathtaking, truly 3D environment. Might and Magic 9 utilizes a brand new 3D engine, completely immersing you in the most realistic Might and Magic world yet. The new conversation system in Might and Magic 9 causes the conversation to adjust to events that you've taken part in. NPCs now react accordingly, and the storyline evolves as your party progresses. While the new engine is 3D, players should not try to just blaze through the game as if it were a first-person shooter. This is because while there are fewer enemies and wandering creatures than before, they are now much smarter. Moreover, this time they know you're coming and they won't let you just run by. What's the secret to making a difference? Remember, turn-based combat was invented for a reason, and in Might and Magic 9 has a purpose. Players are going to enjoy the all-new spellcasting system, which uses spells much like other skills. In previous versions, spells belonged to one specific spell school. Now casting a heal spell requires an elemental skill and light skill. All magic users can learn the basics of healing. Only the higher level light masters and grandmasters are the ones who wield it with the best results. Interesting introduction, excerpt from the Encyclopedia Historica by Isaac Norton. The history of Chedian is rough at best, especially prior to the Great Cataclysm. Its original settlers were the half-orcs, who did not keep many records, because most of their traditions were oral. Unfortunately, after the Great Cataclysm, most of their oral traditions were forgotten. With the introduction of new races, much has changed. Time is measured in years. After Cataclysm, AC, or years before the Cataclysm, BC, which is the number of years before or since, where Hoffman cast a spell that destroyed the old Ursian Empire. The Diocletian era, from -500 to 0 BC, the Russian Empire expeditionary force first discovered Chetian around 500 BC. There are a few brief records from this time documenting some skirmishes with a group of half-orcs in a northerly region known as Chetanian. Presumably this was a misspelling of the half-orcish words Chetian, meaning a land of the Dioclan. This misspelling took, however, and evolved to the name we know today as Chetian. Sadly, the traditions and histories of the Chetian half-orc settlers have been lost in time due to the deaths of the storytellers in the Great Cataclysm. The Great Cataclysm from 0 BC, before 0 BC, Rish, the continent Chetian lies upon, was a very different place. The Ursian Empire's hold on the continent was nearly complete. Their area of influence was large and their ambitions larger. During this period in the Ursian Empire, its emperors were plagued by suspicion and mistrust. Immediately prior to 200 BC, in a remote province near the center of the Ursian Empire, a previously unknown sorcerer appeared and constructed a large tower. He used the name Verhoeven and claimed the tower as a sovereign province independent of the Ursian Empire. Emperor Alfor and his successors mounted several unsuccessful campaigns against Verhoeven. Somewhere near 10 BC, Emperor Trantis assigned an assassin named Nassim to assassinate Verhoeven. After 10 years and the commissioning of several magical artifacts, Nassim attempted to end Verhoeven's life. Nassim failed, and in response to this attempt, Verhoeven climbed to the top of his tower and cast a spell that laid waste to half the Ursian Empire. For thousands of miles, he wreaked havoc and destroyed land. Earthquakes ripped the surviving cities apart. A giant section of the land surrounding Verhoeven's tower was torn asunder, forming what is now known as the Verhoeven Sea. Most of the citizens of the Ursian Empire were left without homes or families. Although the Ursian Empire would last another 13 years, this event is generally associated with the fall of the Ursianian Empire. The new settlers from 0 BC to present. Of all the regions that were affected by the Great Cataclysm, sometimes called Verhoeven's Cataclysm, Chetian was affected the least. Although its climate and landscape changed, Chetian suffered very little. In other areas, survival was a struggle. Those who were able to follow the sparse food supplies. Eventually, those food supplies led to the fertile lands of Chetian. Since the Great Cataclysm, the population of this region grew enormously. At first, the dominant population of half-orcs was reluctant to accept the new settlers, but times were rough and any able hand became a welcome hand. On to the modern Chetian. Modern Chetian is divided into 6 major clans, each ruled by their own leader, known as a Jarl. This leader is autonomous from the other clans, though trade between clans is frequent. Much of the economy of modern Chetian, particularly in Fjordgard, is centered on the trade, refining, and use of a new metal known as elemental þjóðráð. Elemental þjóðráð is a metal that is easy to work and takes well to powerful enchantments. Some of the strongest magical items made in the last 500 years have been made from elemental þjóðráð. Given the amazing properties of elemental þjóðráð, it is surprising that so few wars have been fought over the possession of it. There have been only a dozen wars in the last 500 years, collectively known as the Þjóðradrik Wars, and the last one was fought nearly a century ago. With the exception of the Sturmford and Rankheim clans, the Jarls speak often to each other and work out their disagreements every summer at a festival known as the Thing. Probably a reference to Alþingi. This is all part of the Old Nordic sagas and the Old Nordic history. Þjóðráð is definitely an Icelandic word, so is Alþingi, so is Jarl. These are all Icelandic words. Most of the daily life in Chetian now centers on the planting seasons and the raiding seasons. There are wealthy towns along the coast of Verhoeven Sea, and it is not uncommon to see raiding ships full of soldiers heading towards the rich lands to the south. The Þjóðradrik Wars. Since the discovery of the of elemental Thjóróð, somewhere around 100 AC. There have been a number of wars over who controls this valuable resource. The last one was fought in 418 AC between Þjóðgarð and Þrónheim. Okay, about elemental Thjóróð. Elemental Thjóróð is a metallic substance that takes to enchantment easily. It's also by nature very heavy. It's only found in the Miners Gulch region of Þjóðgarð. It's possible that it might be found elsewhere in the Fen Mountains, the mountain range encircling the Verhoeven Sea, although the expense it would incur to prospectors make the concept nearly unfathomable. The early wars between 112 and 200 AC. The first 4 Þjóðrátic wars were fought between rival village chiefs in the region now known as Þjóðgarð. During this time, I assume this word is supposed to be Þjóðgarður, which is an old Nordic term for a national park. During this time, a single chief came to prominence. He became known as Bjarnus the Mighty. In addition to uniting the Þjóðgarðian clans, he founded the city of Þjóðgarð. Named for the ore that is mined there, his army conquered the last of the Þjóðgarðian clans and became known as the Þjóðgarð clan. Þjóðgarð enjoyed peace even after Bjarnus' death until 238 AC. The middle wars between 240 and 310 AC. In 238 AC, Hríðmir Strawhands, the Jarl of Þjóðgarð, traveled to Þrónheim to meet his prospective bride for the first time. During a game of stones that Hríðmir was playing with her older brother Hafgrim, the two began arguing. Hríðmir strangled Hafgrim over the game board and promptly left for home. Hafgrim's father, Dane Fatolfsson, was outraged. Unsurprisingly, he demanded Hríðmir pay a vergild of 2,000 pounds of elemental Þjóðráð. Hríðmir refused, and Dane invaded Þjóðgarð. Þjóðgarð was under siege for 30 days until Dane broke through the walls and Hríðmir fled. Under Dane's leadership, his army looted the city of Þjóðgarð. Houses were burned, shops looted, and its citizens were held in the grip of fear. Dane held the city for exactly 2 days until Hríðmir's sister Oda arrived and chased his army from Þjóðgarð. She chased them all the way to Þrónheim and laid siege to the city. Dane eventually paid Oda off and she raised her siege. Þjóðgarð and Þrónheim has had 3 more wars, and during that time Þrónheim was raised at least twice. Eventually Dane's grandson Leip forced Þjóðgarð to sign a peace treaty that lasted until 404 AC. The late wars between 350 and 400 AC. Þrónheim was not the only clan interested in the valuable ore known as elemental Þjóðráð. Þjóðgarð was invaded by Frostgarð in 350 AC under the leadership of the Jarl Olaf the Fat. He was bent on conquering all of Chedian under his iron fist. He commissioned a special sword, believing that no one could stop him while he carried a magical weapon known as Yorgamesh. Right? While his army marched towards battle with the Þjóðgarðian army, Olaf the Fat wandered off alone. He was beset by highwaymen. They killed him and stole his sword. Without their Jarl, the Frostgardian army was decimated the following day. Most of the survivors were taken as prisoners. The ancestors of those survivors live in Þjóðgarð to this day. Several years after the death of Olaf the Fat, a warrior from Stormfront raised an army with the intention of taking Þjóðgarð by force. He claimed to be the grandson of Sven Bloodaxe, the legendary warrior who was ever victorious in combat. After several attempts to take Þjóðgarð by sea, he was caught in a storm and drowned when his boat sank. Not all wars were fought on the battlefield. A rich Þjóðgarðian merchant tried to buy for himself the Jarlship of Þjóðgarð. The Jarl at the time, Roderick the Stout, was by all accounts a fat slob. He was more interested in enjoying the wealth of his position than in providing for his people. Ragnar used the money he had from trading in elemental Þjóðráð to influence some of the people close to Jarl Roderick. Unfortunately for Ragnar, one of Roderick's confidants exposed the plot. Instead of being the new Jarl, Ragnar found himself on the end of a noose. Now for the final war between 404 and 418 AC, and Þjóðgarð was forced to sign a peace treaty with Þrónheim. Leib required a yearly donation of 1,000 pounds of elemental þjóðrá to be paid to the Thronish Jarl. By 400 AC, the Þjóðratric industry was in a slump. The Þjóðratric miners were barely mining enough elemental þjóðrá to pay off Trondheim. By 404 AC, the people had had enough. The people of Þjóðgarð, led by a man named Gateliv Strongpick, deposed their Jarl. They quickly named Gateliv the new Jarl, and he promptly sent a message to Trondheim. They would no longer pay. Trondheim responded by sending an army to lay siege to Þjóðgarð. Gateliv was prepared for this and used the tunnels that snake through the mountains of Þjóðgarð to ambush the Thronish army. After a year of enduring the hate and fate strategies of Gateliv, the Thronish army finally left Þjóðgarð. Þjóðgarð and Trondheim did not stop fighting. They fought off and on for another 14 years until they mysteriously stopped in 418 AC. Rumor has it, and this author believes it was the closure. And this author believes it was the closure of the mountain pass between Trondheim and Þjóðgarð that prevented more fighting. Since the end of the last Þjóðratric war nearly a century ago, Trondheim and Þjóðgarð have become close allies. Several Thronish Jarls have married into the Þjóðgardian Jarls families, and vice versa. They have forged a peace that looks to last forever. Okay. Now for the Elvish history. Elvish names. Before the Great Cataclysm, all the elves in Chedian were part of one of 13 clans. Each clan also had several subclans known as Sills. When naming children, the elves of this era adhere to the following rule. Give a name, the mother's name, a clan name, a Sill. So an elven female named Etty, who was the daughter of Thorpleith, who is part of the Dorad clan, and the Blackclaw Sill, has a full name of Etty de Thorpleith, a Dorad, a Blackclaw. Note the lowercase a for the Sill. Since the Sill is a subclan, it is not capitalized. In Elvish society, this is known as the regal name or proper name. It is used only in formal ceremonies and in formal introductions to elves of other clans. For most everyday introductions, the elves use the common name, composed of the given name and the clan name. Therefore, the preceding example would be used. Given name, a clan, or Ete a Dorad. Despite the dissolution of the clans and Sills, most elves still try to follow this paradigm to the best of their ability. There are a few modern elves who have begun to follow the naming conventions of the humans. These elves usually live in major towns and often interact with humans and dwarves, who rarely understand the concept of clans and Sills. Before the Great Cataclysm, the elves were separated from other races and retained their sovereignty as long as they paid their tributes to the Ursian Empire. The elves were one of the few groups that did not resist being absorbed into the Ursian Empire. In fact, there is some evidence that the elves actually asked to be part of the Ursian Empire. Most of the records are written on a special paper known as kunai. This paper was made from the now extinct Condis tree. Most of the records themselves were kept in a central location in the Elvish lands known as Atran, the word for utopia, literally the place of bliss or place of light, both words being synonymous in Elvish tongue. According to the ancient maps, the town known as Atran was 400 leagues south of Forhaven's Tower. Today this would place it squarely at the bottom of Forhaven Sea. Since Atran was buried underneath the sea, it is assumed that all of the historical kunai have been destroyed. There is some debate, however. Some claim, since Atran was the Elvish utopia, that it was protected from destruction during the Great Cataclysm and now currently resides in its entirety under the Forhaven Sea. There are those who believe in the existence of the complete written history of the elves, called the Cunic Records. These followers believe they include the fate of all the clans, including a mysterious lost 14th clan known as Arigdun. Many historians have gone on expeditions to the area believed to be the location of Atran and tried to find evidence of its existence. To date, all these expeditions have returned empty-handed. Without these records, virtually nothing is known about Elvish history except where their history intersects with the histories of other cultures. Thus it is known that the Elvish clan leader Thratta Adorat invited the Ursian Imperial Guard to set up a garrison in the Elvish town of Atendar. It is not known who he was or why he did so. Most of what is known of Elvish history is what is spoken on the tongues of the elves themselves. Much of that is myth related to Elvish heroes. Perhaps one of these days, one of the expeditions to the probable location of a travel to return with pieces of the Kunic records. Right. Manual conventions. This manual assumes that you're using a standard keyboard and 2-button mouse and have an understanding of their use. Yeah, we know how to use a keyboard and mouse. If you do not understand any of the following terms, you might want to take a few moments to review them in your Microsoft Windows tutorial materials. You don't have to do that. Don't have to worry about the installation either. We've already done that. Character creation, however, is something we're very interested in. Your first course of action will be to create the 4 characters in your party. If you'd like to just jump right in and start playing, click on the Accept Party button. The green checkmark and your party statistics and skills will be chosen for you. Oh, where's the fun in that, I ask? Otherwise, you can proceed with the following steps. Select a character. Begin by selecting your first character's race and gender. Click on the left and right arrows beneath the character portrait to scroll through your female and male character choices. Human, half-orc, elf, and dwarf. Keep in mind that certain races are biologically better in certain classes. For example, a half-orc is built to be a fighter due to its innate strength and power, whereas an elf would make a better initiate considering its smaller stature and natural magic ability. Now, each character comes with a name, but you can change it simply by clicking on it and typing in your character's new name. Class, go to the choose a class box and select either fighter or initiate. A fighter relies on brute force and a weapon, and initiate relies on spellcasting to attack enemies or to aid party members. Okay, there are essentially only 2 classes then. That's a reduction. As your characters gain experience and the opportunity to advance their class, they become a more specialized class. A fighter may choose to become a crusader and then potentially either a ranger or paladin. Interesting. Okay. So there are in fact just as many classes, but you make a bold choice at the start of whether you're a fighter or an initiate. An initiate may advance to scholar and then perhaps become either a mage or leech. Interesting. For more information, go to the Creating Characters chapter and see classes. It is suggested that on your first time through Might and Magic 9, you create a party featuring 2 fighters and 2 initiates. Right. Something which we might obey, or we might go for a 1 and 3. Voice. When your character speaks, what will he or she sound like? Click the right and left arrows underneath voice to give your character's voice a recognizable persona. Now, stats. Each character has a list of statistics that you can adjust. Changing these stats will affect how the character performs in combat. For more detailed information, see stats in the Creating Characters chapter. Some races are naturally better or worse in certain stats. For instance, the half-orc's might is very high because the half-orc is a big, strong creature. However, due to its large size, its speed is very slow. Each character gets 10 extra points to distribute among their stats. So you can compensate for the half-orc's slow gait by increasing its speed stat. However, keep in mind that some races have bonuses and penalties for certain stats, but point costs for increasing or decreasing their stat will be doubled. This is a well-known trait. For example, dwarves are poor magic users, therefore to increase a dwarf's magic stat by 1 point, it will cost you 2. Elves, on the other hand, are very accurate, so putting 1 point in their accuracy stat will increase it by 2 points. If you accept a party as it appears without spending the ability points, these points will be distributed automatically for you. Starting skills. Choose 2 skills from the list of starting skills. Find more about any skill, right click on it. Compare. When you've chosen all 4 party members, click on the compare. A picture of 4 party members button in the lower right corner. Use the compare screen to see how each party member balances out. Then return to each character screen and make any necessary adjustments. Once you've created your party, you're ready to begin. Select the Accept Party button in the lower right corner. When gameplay begins, press the T key. Bring up your inventory screen. Select each character's portrait. Click on the inventory navigation tab. The second tab from the bottom and drag any weapons or armor each character is carrying onto their body to equip. You can also simply double-click each item to automatically equip it. Quick spells. Once your initiates have learned their basic spells, by double-clicking on the spellbook in the inventory, select the spell you would like to have loaded and ready to go for quick casting by clicking on it to highlight it and then clicking Set Quick to load it. Whenever you would like to cast a spell, highlight your spellcaster and right-click your mouse. Highlight your spellcaster and right-click the mouse. That's a new shortcut. The keyboard commands. You can apparently either use VAST or you can use the arrows. Left shift to switch from walk to run. F5 is quick save. Which is very nice. F8 is screenshot. F9 is quick load. 1 to 4 is select character. 5 to 7 is converge with non-player character. X is still used for jumping. I is the inventory. J is the journal. M is the map. B is the spellbook. Q is the questbook. N is for the notes. R is for resting. G is for identifying monsters. That's a useful shortcut. F is for the party formation screen. C is for crouching. That's new. There was no crouching in previous games. Y is for yelling. Z is for the quick reference tab to cycle through the characters. Escape for main menu or return to game. Enter is the turn-based mode toggle as before. Shift D or delete for deleting items from the inventory. Shift 1 to 4 to move an item in the inventory to a player character. That's very useful. I wonder if that was there before. It's a very useful shortcut in any case. Spacebar to activate user open. Left click in the inventory is for equip. Double left click in the spellbook is cast immediately. Right click in the menu is quick info. Left click is range or melee or attack. Right click on the adventure screen. Spell, range or melee attack. Shift and S is quick sell. Shift and D is delete. Backslash is to toggle the display. Page up is for looking up and page down is for looking down. Doesn't seem to be any shortcut for flying, which I assume means that we can't fly anymore. But we'll see. Experience and leveling. As your party members encounter and defeat creatures, each character earns experience points. When the character is ready to advance, bring them into one of the 6 major cities and find a trainer. This comes at the cost of gold, but increases your character's level and adds you valuable skill points. The character's experience between levels is represented on the adventure screen to the right of the character portrait. A vertical yellow line represents the experience earned since the last level trained. When the bar is full, the character can advance to the next level. That's useful. Didn't used to be the case, at least it wasn't obvious. While your party's primary objective is to stop the Beldonian hordes from conquering Jedion, you can also perform what are known as promotion and secondary quests. That's not new. Promotional quests are quests that you need to accomplish in order to promote your characters to their next class. For example, if you would like to promote a fighter in your party to the level of mercenary, you will need to complete a simple quest. It may involve escorting an official starter from one city to the next, or perhaps ridding a forest of bandits to protect the innocent. Secondary quests are small quests that you go on in order to collect experience and money. These quests are not required to complete the game. Right. Combat left click. Active character attacks nearby enemy with a range or melee weapon. Right for cast quick spell or used ranged weapon, then melee weapon. B to open the spellbook or enter to toggle between real-time and turn-based. Combat is your party's bread and butter. This is where they get the most experience. Might and Magic offers 2 ways to take on your foes in real-time or turn-based combat. We know this very well. Essentially, you can either play in real-time or you can play in turn-based, and you can switch between them and mix and match. We've played through this extensively in games 6, 7, and 8. Whereas in the games before that, it used to be turn-based only. Now, attack and cast spells. 2 ways to attack an enemy with Might or Magic. Attack an enemy, place the crosshair over the enemy and left click. Each time you left click and attack, the allied party member attacks once. If you use the set quick option to preload the spell, simply right click the mouse to cast the spell. Okay, that's actually genuinely useful. Game menu start, load game options, view intro and credits. Game options, turn speed. A slider adjusts the speeds in which you can turn your party's view. Mouse sensitivity slides adjust the speed of the mouse. Setting this to the right will increase your mouse pointer and mouse clock speed. Toggling always run is an interesting toggle. We always leave that on. Blood splats, toggle the blood splats within the game on and off. Obviously, we're going to have that on. Invert turns the inverted reversed mouse function. Use this to flip the mouse look y-axis. I'm going to have to test that. Head bob, toggle on and off the head bob motion. I'm going to turn that off because I get motion sickness with the bobbing always in every game. Choice of targeting crosses. You can apparently pick between 7 different crosses. We'll pick the one that looks the best to us. Video options, display adapter, force one pass, enable single pass light mapping versus dual pass light mapping. Single pass is faster. We have enough horsepower to turn every single thing on. It's just a matter of whether we like it or not. You can turn on or off detailed textures, and you can turn on and off light mapping. Turn the shadows on and off. You can turn off or on trilinear buffering. You can turn off the effects for weapon impacts in order to increase weapon video performance. You can optimize surfaces to increase performance. And you can enable reflective objects. I have a feeling we're going to play it with pretty much every of the pretty options on, unless they annoy us for some reason. You can adjust sound effects, music and voice all individually, which is very nice. Because sometimes the sound effects are very loud and the music is pretty low. And you can remap any of the keyboard or mouse commands. That's also quite nice. Creating characters, that's the character creation screen. Character name, each character comes with a name, race and gender. We've sort of been through this. But there are only 4, human, half-orc, elf and dwarf. You can also choose a class, fighter or initiate. Been through that before. Choose a voice and statistics. And then you have the points available. Pick the starting skills. You compare and you accept. Let's go through the attributes quickly, see if something's changed there, whether this is all familiar. You have might. That's typical. You also have something called magic. That's interesting. That's a new approach. Instead of having intellect, which used to be a sorcerer thing, sorcerer mage thing, and personality, which used to be a clerical / priest thing, you now have something called magic. Represents a character's ability to reason and understand complex abstract concepts. Maximum spell points for all spellcasters are based on magic. So there's only one attribute now. That's interesting. That means that items that you find which enchant this ability will work just as well for a sorcerer or mage as it does for a cleric. Endurance is a measure of a character's physical toughness. Been there before. Accuracy is also something we've seen, so as is speed and luck. Hit points is a well-known attribute, so is armor class. Spell points, which are then directly a consequence of the magical, as the hit points are of endurance. Condition shows the worst effect your character is suffering. Been there. Each with their individual drawbacks. The quick spell, the spell that will be cast when you right click during combat. I wonder whether they've removed a very handy option they had in 8 where you could have a quick spell for non-combat and another one for combat. I really like that option. A level is the measure of training your character has gone through. Been there. Experience, the indicator of your character's overall understanding of the world. Been there. Melee bonus is the sum of all factors that influence your character's chance to hit monsters with an equipped hand-to-hand weapon. This is probably then... this is your skill, your individual spells, as well as your accuracy. Melee damage is the sum of all factors, including might, any spells, and certain weapon skills at expert or master that influences the damage your character does. So this is, for example, the arms master skill, as well as any boosting spells, such as bless and so on, and your individual melee. Ranged bonus is the sum of all factors, skills, spells, and accuracy that influence your character's chance to hit monsters with any ranged weapons, and the ranged damage is the same, except for the damage caused. Elemental resistance represents your character's ability to minimize damage taken from elemental-based attacks, though a high resistance can greatly reduce elemental damage. It does not make your character immune. So there's only a single attribute now. It's not individual attributes for, as it used to be, that you had individual attributes for fire, water, earth, and air. Light represents your character's ability to minimize damage taken from light-based attacks. So that's still separate, but now completely separate, as is dark. Your ability to minimize damage taken from dark-based attacks, and spirit, which minimizes the damage taken from spirit-based attacks. So they've changed it really into these 4 different groups. Bit of an interesting approach. Still seems reasonable. Physical resistance represents your character's ability to minimize damage taken from magically caused physical-based attacks, though a high resistance can greatly reduce physical damage. Does not make your character immune. Magically caused physical-based attacks. Okay, like the hammer hands and so on. Interesting. So there are 5 different magical resistances: elemental magics, light magic, dark magics, spirit magics, and physical magics. Okay, this is then the skill points you have. That's not new to us. And then you have the races. Humans were the first group of the 4 major races to nurture an expansionist philosophy. Prior to this, all races pretty much kept to themselves. They were also the first to devote a great deal of time to creating weapons and other technology to destroy things. Their resourcefulness immediately after the Great Cataclysm helped them to become the most prominent race in Shedian. Humans are equally adept as fighters or initiates and are fairly average across every stat. The elves before the Great Cataclysm, all elves in Shedian were members of one of 13 clans who usually kept to themselves. Each of these clans had sub-clans known as Sills. Sometime before or during the Great Cataclysm, the 13 clans were scattered to the winds. After the Cataclysm, the clans began intermingling with each other and other races. The strong clan loyalties they used to have are breaking down. It's not uncommon to see elves drop their clan or Sill names. There's rumor of another group of elves who live to the south, who belong to a lost 14th clan known as the Arugdon. Elves are smaller in stature than humans or half-orcs and thus have poor endurance. And the cost to raise the endurance stat is 2 points per 1 point raised. However, elves are very skilled in accuracy. Yeah, the elves usually make slightly better magical users and they're good archers. Dwarves are the second most common race in Chetia, and after the Great Cataclysm, most of the dwarves' indigenous culture was destroyed. It has since been assimilated into human culture. Much of their tradition and skills are still handed down orally, and they still have a predisposition for living and working underground. Dwarves are stout and strong, and therefore have excellent endurance. The cost to raise the endurance stat by 2 points is only 1 point from the points available pool. However, they are poor magic users, and the cost to raise the magic stat is 2 points per 1 point raised. Right. So the human is the Swiss Army knife, which can do pretty much anything, but doesn't really excel at any one thing. The elf has a lower hit point value, but is accurate and is good with the bow. Potentially a better magical user. A dwarf is a great fighter, but a poor magical user. And then you have the half orc. After the Great Cataclysm, all that existed in half-orc creature was lost or destroyed. They were let out of the Great Cataclysm by Akandia of a clan of half-orcs known as the Dire clan. Most of the half-orcs today have no memories of Akandia or any sort of half-orc clan distinction. Half-orcs are strong in might, so they make excellent fighters. Unfortunately, their sheer size causes them to be fairly slow in speed. Right. The dwarves have a lot of hit points. The half-orcs are good at fighting. Right. It is the usual. Now, classes, the paths of might and magic. Each character must begin the game as either a fighter or an initiate. The former being a warrior and the second and the latter being a spellcaster. In order to move on to the next class, talk to various non-player characters around town. Some will tell you about promotion quests. When you accept the promotion quest, you will be choosing between 2 classes that are more specialized. A fighter may choose to become a crusader. After completing his first level promotion quests, he can then potentially become either a ranger or a paladin. An initiate may advance to scholar and then perhaps become either a mage or a leech. Right. So your choices as a fighter are to become a mercenary, which can either make you an assassin or a gladiator, or you can become a crusader and become either a ranger or a paladin. If you choose to be an initiate, you can either be a scholar, which can then either be a mage or a leech, or you can become a healer, in which case you become either a priest or a druid. So essentially you start out as an initiate, then you choose to be either a typical mage or a typical healer. So these are sorcerer and cleric, whereas this is the typical paladin versus the gladiator or typical knight sort of path. As an adventurer, you will face many obstacles, challenges, and quite often death. As a student of the world, you must make that decision of what your ultimate goal will be. Pay heed, younger one, and remember the path, for it is the doom of men that they forget. General Halfdan Bloodaxe. The path of might. Should you choose the path of might, you will begin life as a fighter. Fighters are on the front lines of combat. They employ a variety of weapons to eradicate a foe. As fighters grow in experience, they will come to their first crossroads, whether to fight for themselves as mercenaries or fight for the good of all as a crusader. Mercenaries are professional fighters that rarely do anything without financial reward tied to the end of it. Do not underestimate them, however, for they have dedicated themselves to studying the art of melee. They have forgone the use of magic in favor of greater skill in arms and armor. As mercenaries grow in experience, they will again face a choice whether to specialize as an assassin, the paid killer of men, or as a gladiator for whom fighting is an art. Gladiators, like mercenaries, are paid fighters that are the ultimate evolution of the true warrior. Their skill with weapons is unmatched, and their ability to vanquish foes with single blows heroic. Many legendary sagas have been written about gladiators. Assassins are men who live in the shadows, always prepared to take the life of any who are doomed to become their target. This is essentially the old ninja class, which disappeared pretty early in the saga of these games. They are the ghost fighters who with special skills can strike without being detected and leave without a trace. It sort of makes an appearance with the various skills in later games, but not really. So this is, if anything, the return of the ninja. The skills with weapons is second only to the gladiator. With the addition of the skills, only they can use. The assassin is a formidable opponent. Right. Crusaders are noble fighters who have devoted their lives fighting for justice. As such, they've been granted limited skill in the magical arts. While not as powerful as a trained scholar or healer, the magic is a welcome addition to their weapon-bending abilities. Right. So this is how you become either a ranger, which is sort of what the archer used to be, or a paladin, which is a well-known class that we've played often. I always have a paladin, and I find it very likely that we'll have two fighters. One who will probably become an assassin, and another that will eventually become a paladin. Paladins are the defenders of truth and justice for all of mankind. Their bravery and unwavering dedication to what is right and good separates them from the unworthy. They are the experts in the schools of light and spirit magic. Once paladins find the cause, they are prepared to fight for it to their deaths. That's our man. Rangers are very similar to paladins in their thoughts and actions. They believe, however, that mankind can fend for itself. It is nature that requires a champion. Rangers will fight to death to destroy those who would cause harm to nature. They're experts in elemental and spirit magic. Yeah, so that's essentially the archer. So the ranger is a mage, while the paladin is a priest. So we have a slightly weaker magical user, and we have played, when we used to play with 6 characters, we've played with both what is known here as a ranger or an archer and a paladin. But I'm assuming in this game we will have a 1 pure fighter, 1 paladin. The path of magic. Should you choose the path of magic, you will begin life as an initiate. Initiates are poor fighters who can learn all the schools of magic. Unable to employ the weapons of the fighter, they rely on magic to vanquish foes. As initiates grow in experience, they will have to make a choice to specialize as a studious scholar or a devout healer. Scholars have devoted much of their time to the study of things past, giving them much insight into the events to come. They are experts in elemental light and dark magic. At some point during their studies, scholars will face a final choice: to continue on and become a mage, or to follow the dark path and discover how to become a leech. Right. The mage is the ultimate spellcaster. Upon reaching the height of their abilities, they are unequaled in the arts of magic. It is believed the man known as VIII, who caused a great cataclysm, was one such mage. Are skilled in all schools of magic. Their specialties are elemental and light magic. Right. Should your choice lead you down the darker path, your goal will be the ultimate transformation that a magical being may pursue, the leech. Shrouded in mystery, leeches have sacrificed their mortality in exchange for legendary magical skills. As such, they're exceptional users of elemental and dark magics. Right. In there. We played with a leech in the previous game. It was quite fun, but I have a feeling we're just gonna go for the standard mage. Seems much more likely. Healers are devoted to caring for the sick and diseased. They're often found in hospitals, tending to the ill, or in temples, healing worshippers. They're experts in light, dark, and spirit magic. As healers develop their magical skills, they will eventually be faced with the choice to become druids, who serve nature, or priests who serve mankind. Okay. Well, the distinction of the druid is here as well. Priests take every opportunity to practice the healing of those who share their devotion. They often travel alongside crusaders and paladins, healing the wounds their companions have taken in battle. As such, priests are known to excel in light and spirit magic. Right. So the mage also has light magic. Essentially, the mage and priest have light magic, The mage has elemental magic, and the priest has spirit magic. But as far as the leech is concerned, he has the elemental and dark. And the druid is closer to what used to be the ranger as well. He's proficient in elemental and spirit magic. He has some healing ability, but largely he also gains the elemental and spirit magic, but not to the same level. The druid used to be a very poor magical user in some of the games, and it wasn't really useful as a magical caster. The archer used to be a much better. The archer was kind of like a weak mage, and he was also proficient with the bow. And if you gave him enough intellect and enough accuracy, he was lethal with the bow and also lethal with the spells. So I quite liked playing as an archer. However, this doesn't really offer you the archer. It comes closest to it with the ranger, but it's not really the same. And if you can only have 4, I would rather have the paladin. So I have a feeling we're going to have a pure fighter, which will become an assassin, a fighter that will become a paladin, an initiate that will become a mage, and an initiate that will become a priest. I think that's pretty much a party already made up. The question then remains, what do we do for each? Half-orc assassin, human paladin, someone tempting to go for an elven mage, and a human cleric, skipping the dwarf. Probably our minds made up for us. The stats. When you first create each character in your party, the basic stats are already filled in with default point totals that suit your character's race. And in addition to each character's basic statistics, you have points available pool that you can use to grant each character an additional 10 points with which to adjust their stats. Some races have bonus and penalties for certain stats, so the point cost of increasing or decreasing will be doubled. Dwarves are poor magic users. To increase a dwarf's magic stat by 1, it will cost you 2. Elves, on the other hand, are excellent marksmen, so putting 1 point into their accuracy will increase it by 2. Let's imagine you're creating a half-orc fighter. A half-orc's basic stats begin thusly: 15 might, 10 magic, 14 endurance, 10 accuracy, 9 speed, 10 luck, 10 points available. Things to consider as you adjust the half-orc's stats. It is to the half-orc's advantage to be strongest in might, endurance, and accuracy. Half-orcs are naturally strong and have an advantage with the might stat, so for every point you put into might, the might stat will increase by 2. A half-orc's speed is naturally slowed due to his large size, so it would be a good idea to increase his speed so we can keep up with the smaller, faster members of the party. Unfortunately, it will cost 2 points to increase the speed stat by 1 point. Because the half-orc is a poor magic user will most likely not be casting any spells. You can take his magic stat, which starts out at 10, down as low as it will go. In this case 7. This adds 3 more points. Right. Right. This is something we know very well how to do. And we've sort of gone through this. Might, magic, and endurance, accuracy, speed, and luck. All of which we know pretty well. The derived stats, the hit points are obviously derived from the endurance. Spell points are derived from magic. The armor class is derived from the speed. The resistances are derived from the various items that you have, so as well as some of the default abilities that belong to each class. The experience is earned, as is the level which is learned, and then you gain skill points as you level up. Then you have the combat stats, and this is all very useful. You can use the attack bonus, attack damage, range bonus, and range damage to see with the current settings and with the current items that you're carrying exactly how much damage you're causing, how much bonus you have, and therefore your ability to hit someone, and if you do hit, how much damage you will cause. Now we move on to the skills. These are the weapon skills. You have something called blade now, which used to be called sword and is now blade. Covers all types of blades shorter than 4 feet. Now that's also then the knife. So these are no longer separate skills, which is very handy. At a normal level, the skill is added to the character's attack bonus. At expert, the recovery penalty for the weapon is halved. Right. At master, the skill permits the use of a sword in the shield hand for the purpose of 2-weapon fighting, something called dual wielding. And at grandmaster level for the paladin class, the skill provides an additional +1 bonus to the character's combat total per skill level and a +1 bonus per skill level to the damage the character inflicts upon its target. This bonus also only applies to bladed weapons. Right. At grandmaster level for the gladiator class, the skill provides a +1 bonus to the character's armor class and an additional +1 bonus per skill point to the character's combat total. Right. At grandmaster for the assassin class, the skill provides a +1 bonus to the character's attack skill for every 3 points of skill when wielding daggers. The bow skill covers both the use of bows and crossbows. At normal, the skill level is added to the character's attack bonus. At expert, the skill level is added to the character's damage bonus. At master, the character's bow fires 2 arrows during every attack. The grandmaster skill level allows the character to fire 3 shots with 1 attack. Okay, then you have the cudgel. It's no longer the mace, it's called the cudgel. All of the blunt trauma weapons ranging from large clubs to flails. At the normal, the skill level is added to the character's attack bonus. At expert, it's added to the character's damage bonus. At master, the skill stuns the target, and the grandmaster skill level doubles the attack and damage bonus of the characters. Right. Usually the priest is the cudgel bearer. The spear skill allows the use of bladed pole weapons. At normal, the skill is added to the character's attack bonus. At expert, to the character's damage bonus. At master, permits the use of a spear at the left hand for the purpose of 2-weapon fighting. And at grandmaster, the skill provides an additional attack with spears. Thrown. Interesting. The thrown weapon skill covers the use of throwing daggers and axes, which are specially balanced to become deadly projectiles. At normal, the skill level is added to the character's attack bonus. At expert, to the character's damage bonus. At master, the recovery time is reduced by half. At grandmaster, the characters are allowed to attack twice in 1 turn. Assume if we had a dwarf, the thrown weapon skill would be very handy. The unarmed skill is still there. The ability to use only your hands and feet, no weapons, only works with your hands empty. At normal, skill is added to character's attack and damage. At expert, added to the attack bonus and damage bonus. At master, triple the skill level is added to the character's attack and damage. The skill level is added to the character's armor class as well, and the Grandmaster skill adds an additional attack plus 1 more attack for every 3 skill points over 10. Okay. We might consider this with one of the magical users at some point. They're generally very poor fighters. Sometimes the best way to fight is to not fight. Armor skills. The armor skill covers the use of all kinds of armor. All character classes may wear some type of armor. At normal, the skill is added to the character's armor class. At expert, the recovery penalty is halved, and some classes may wear chain or leather. Master, double the skill level is added to the character's armor classes. Some classes may wear plate. At Grandmaster, the skill level is added to the character's armor class, and the recovery penalty for armor is eliminated. Okay, so essentially you no longer have a separated class or skill for each armor type, which is highly useful, I must say. The dodge skill can be used only when you're not wearing armor or using a shield. At normal, the skill is added to the character's armor class. At expert, the effect is doubled, and at master, the effect is tripled. This would be useful if you had a sort of ninja or assassin. The shield skill is still a separate skill, directly improves a character's armor class while a shield is employed. Right. This is not new. At normal, it's just added to the armor class. At expert, the recovery penalty is eliminated. At master, double the skill points are added to the character's armor class, and at Grandmaster, allows a shield bash attack that does damage at 3 times the level of shield skill. Interesting. Magical skills, the dark magics, the light magics. Okay, there's no longer a separated skill for each of the elemental spells. It's just one skill, the elemental skill. The spirit for the spirit spells, and there is no longer a separate class here for the... There used to be a separate class for the body type spells, which is no longer there. That's interesting. So they've removed some of the more redundant skill levels. You're essentially leveling up a skill for all of the above, which also means that you're probably not chasing every single teacher for each and every of the elementals. It sometimes took forever to level up characters because you needed to find 12 teachers to bring you from normal to expert to master in each of the elementals, because there was one teacher for every one of them, and you needed to level up each and every one of them at a turn as well. The Arms Master skill represents the warrior tricks of the trade in using the melee weapons. At normal, skill level is added to the character's attack bonus with all melee weapons. At expert, to the character's damage bonus. At master, the skill reduces the character's recovery time with all melee weapons, and at Grandmaster, it allows a second attack with all melee weapons. This is a very useful skill to have for a fighter. Then you have the disarm trap, which at normal increases your chance to disarm traps. At expert, the effect is doubled. At master, the effect is tripled. And at Grandmaster, the skill effect is 100%. Right, we need this skill. Identify item is automatically applied. If your character skill is high enough, the item is identified. At normal, there's a chance you'll be able to identify. At expert, the effect is doubled. Master, the effect is tripled. At Grandmaster, the skill effect is 100%. You need this skill. Identify monster is applied when you right click on a monster. At normal, you learn the monster's hit points and armor class. At expert, you learn the monster's attack type and ability to do damage. At master, you learn what spells the monster can cast, and at Grandmaster, you can learn the monster's resistances. This is a very useful skill. Item repair allows you to repair broken equipment automatically applied when you right-click on a broken item in the inventory. At normal, it increases your chances of avoiding traps and noticing treasures. Really? So this has been combined. Is this a typo or is it in the wrong place? Are they confusing? Yeah, they've mixed up the text here for perception and item repair. Item repair is still for repairing items and perception is for perception. So there's a wrong school of thought in the manual itself. At the normal, it increases your chances of repairing the items. At expert, it's doubled, and at master, it's tripled, and at grandmaster, it's 100%. Then you have the learning skill, which increases the number of experience points you earn for completing quests and killing monsters. It's essentially an experience point bonus. At normal, you get 10%. At expert, you get 20%. At master, you get 30%. And at grandmaster, you get 50%. This is a useful skill if you can find it and have the points to level it up. The merchant adjusts prices in your favor when you're buying and selling. I usually make the first character in the party a merchant, and sometimes I make all of them merchants. It used to be that only certain classes and certain types could become good at these various skills. You have still to find that in this manual. And the perception skill, which is about noticing hidden doors and traps. And this is the text that was in the repair part earlier. This is also a very useful skill. These are essentially the all of these are useful, and I would say you need all of them to complete the game. You don't necessarily need all of them, but I see that they've reduced their numbers quite a bit, and they've left in what is I would say is pretty much the essentials. One of the many new features in Might and Magic 9 is the spellcasting system. In prior versions, spells for each individual school of magic were kept in a spellbook. The new dynamic system uses spells much like skills. Spellcasters now gain spells by learning skills. To cast a heal spell, the spellcaster must first obtain the magic skill of light. All spellcasters can learn the basics of healing, but only light masters and grandmasters can wield it with the best results. In this new spell system, all spellcasters have access to all schools of magic and their spells, except for crusaders and rangers who cannot learn the school of dark magic. Therefore, Leech now has the ability to cast Bless, but with nowhere near the level and ability that a priest can. Right. Arms of Earth. An elemental or spirit spell. Arms rise up from the earth to entangle the adversary. The higher level of the spell, the larger the area covered. Be careful, the unwary caster can catch himself in his own trap. The Bless, a light or spirit, can be used to increase a character's chance to hit his or her target. Also negates an equal level curse spell. Chain Lighting, the first lightning bolt discharges electrically from the caster's hand to a single target. It always hits and does 1 to 8 points of damage per point of skill in elemental magic. If there are monsters within certain range of the target, they will be hit by an equal amount of electricity. Column of Fire, elemental and light, hugely destructive column of fire falls from the sky, wreaking great amounts of damage upon the target. Column is usually only large enough to strike one target. Curse is used to decrease the enemy's chance to hit its target and is a dark and light spell. Dark Grasp, which is a dark and spirit spell, surrounds its target with the power of raw darkness, rendering it unable to fire missile attacks or cast spells. Furthermore, the target's movement is slowed, its armor class is reduced, and it does reduce damage when striking in melee combat. Death's Touch. The spellcaster uses his own spell points in order to drain the enemy's hit points. Right. Disease inflicts a condition upon the target, causing continuous damage until cured by a potion or spell. Divine Intervention. Once per day you may call upon the heavens to heal your characters of all damage, restore the spell points, and remove all adverse conditions. The caster's spell points will be nearly drained by this spell. Yeah, this is a good spell. very rarely used but can be useful. Elemental Aura, a field of protection surrounds the party. Any enemies that attack your character still deal out damage but receive the same amount of damage they dish out beyond an elemental force. This is interesting and new. Elemental Blast launches a magical attack outward from a targeted enemy. Right. Elemental Bolt launches a magical bolt of one of the 4 elements at the target. Always hits. Elemental Protection increases your party's resistance to damage inflicted by elemental magic by an amount equal to your skill in spirit magic. Right. Enchant item has a chance of imbuing a normal item with magical powers. Been there, done that. Often used on lower quality items to increase their selling value. Enrage causes a single monster to go mad with a battle lust, attacking the nearest living creature until the spell wears off or the creature dies. And you have the Eye of Lagib, similar to the Visitize spell, except the spellcaster sends a duplicate of himself out into the world to survey the area near him. Interesting. Eye of the Storm, centered from the party. The spell has an atom bomb concussive effect that could stun or kill everything in the immediate area. Damage is 20 plus 1 per point of skill per enemy. Eye of the Storm can only be cast once per day. It requires Elemental, Spirit, and Light skill. Eye of the Storm sounds cool. Then you have Faith, maximizes the damage skills of the character the spellcaster selects. Right. Fear, when struck by fear, the targeted enemy is overcome with fright of the spellcaster and must flee. If the creature takes damage while under influence, the spell will be broken. Right. Featherfall eases great falls. Been there. Fleetfoot accelerates your party's travel speed depending on the level of skill. Interesting. Haste, once cast, decreases recovery time of the character. However, the character will be weak once the spell wears off. Been there, used this a lot. Heal cures hit points on a single character when cast. Been there. Lloyd's Beacon, the ultimate teleportation spell, requires some planning. Must set a beacon before you can use this spell to teleport. Absolute bread and butter, matter magic this spell, and a wonderful one it is. You can set a beacon and return to it at any point. Magic Mine enables the spellcaster to drop a magically enchanted mine on the ground. Next being that walks within 15 of the mine will suffer from the mine's blast. Right. Guess this is useful for dealing with outdoor areas. Meteor Shower, been there. A single meteor does 8 points of damage plus 1 point per skill. The spell only works outdoors. Been there as well. Natural Armor uses the forces of nature to provide additional armor to the character it is cast on. Right, this is essentially stone skin. The spellcaster cannot be wearing metal armor. The spellcaster, okay. Not the one that you cast it on, just the spellcaster cannot be wearing metal armor, so it needs to be wearing leather armor essentially. Pain Reflection. Enemy hits a character upon which Pain Reflection has been cast. The enemy takes damage as well. This is a dark spell. Paralyze. Paralyzes temporarily. Been there. Phantom Fighter. Calls forth a blade expert in phantom form. Right. This is like a summon elemental thing. The spell dies out. The phantom takes your weapon as payment. It can only be cast on one-handed unenchanted blade weapons. Right, this is interesting. So if you have a sword, you can cast this spell on the sword and it will summon an elemental that will use the sword to bash your foes, and then the sword will disappear. That can be fine. Poison and Poison Cloud. Been there. Rarely have I used these spells. They're rarely very effective. Power Draw uses Power Draw to push spell points into a character's damage rating. The number of spell points pushed affects the amount of damage modified. Interesting. Purify the life forces of the character it is cast upon, removing conditions such as poison, disease, drunk, insane, fear. Okay. This is just a single spell that removes most of these conditions. It's also good. Regeneration enables the character to naturally heal at a faster rate. Yeah, we've used that. Resist Death provides the character with extra resistance to dark magic. Good. Resurrection resurrects the character whose body has been destroyed. The recovery rate is very slow, right? Shared Life combines the life force of your characters and redistributes it among the entire party. Often used. The Soul Drinker Dark spell sucks the life from all creatures inside. Sparks a small ball of lightning onto the world that bounces around until it hits something or dissipates. Hard to tell where it will go. Best used in a room crowded with small monsters. This is a useful spell that's, at least at the lower levels, can be quite useful. Spell Reaver dispels magic cast upon living creatures in an area depending on the caster's level of skill mastery. Spell does not remove magic traps from the unguarded chests or doors. Torchlight gives the party an aura of light to aid them in dark areas. Then you have Town Portal, linking to the magical properties of ancient altars. A spellcaster can call to the altar to bring the caster and his party close to it. Been there. Transfusion transfers any positive or negative condition into his or her target. Spell can be used against a party member or enemy. Must be within melee range. Turn on Dead. Been there. The VIII, an often used spell to show us where the friendlies and unfriendlies and as well as the treasure is to be found. Wound, which inflicts damage upon an enemy within melee range, and Wrath of Bugs, which is the good old-fashioned swarm spell. I'd say they've greatly reduced the number of spells and combined some of them. So a way to simplify the spell system a little bit. The adventure screen, this is the view where all the action takes place. You'll face enemies, explore it, and see everything as it is occurring in the game. This is what is meant by real-time. Time passes in the world around you, whether you choose to interact with it or not. Use WASD to move about, to look around, move your mouse. The compass aids interaction finding. The gem associated will change color to yellow when monsters are in the area and red when they're aware of you. It also gives you the time of day. I assume this is the compass thing. The maximum possible number of characters in the party at any time is 7. The first 4 are party members and their portraits are on the left side of your screen. You may also have up to 3 NPCs that can join or leave the party. Their portraits will always appear on the right side. Okay. Though you have 4 party members, only 1 character is active at a time. The active character's portrait is highlighted. You can switch between them by pressing the tab key or press the number key associated with the character. The active character is important because it will be that character's skills and abilities which will be applied to any action performed. Therefore, it's important to remember to highlight the appropriate character before performing an action. Right. Hey there, Gleeser. Welcome in. Let me give you a shout out here. We're more than halfway through the manual. On page 50 to be exact. I've largely made dumb decisions regarding character or party build-up. I'm going to have a half-orc pure fighter, assassin, a human, paladin, elf, mage, and human priest. Hey there, Mickey, welcome in. Have to play the mission again. Yeah, that's fine. We've just been reading through the manual. I was just going through all the different spells. Thanks for the follow. Follow alerts are anonymous. Not much appreciated. And largely, I think what I've seen so far with the skill system and the magical system and so on is that the game has been somewhat simplified. They've removed redundant skills, and it kind of looks like it's been streamlined a bit. Yeah, this is this lit tech engine, right? Thanks for the subscribing, the Mickey. Much appreciated. Welcome to the sub club. You'll find a number of emotes, including some nice animated ones, and we're working on adding more of the animated ones. We have some new Castle Guard emotes coming in that are animated as well. Yeah, Gleeser is here occasionally on Saturdays. He's been to almost every stream that I've done with Might and Magic for the past 3.5 years. There have been a few. We started with game number 2, we're on to game number 9, so you could sort of see how many streams there have been. Okay. They're just going through the main game screen here. They've already covered the character portraits, which are for the party characters, are on the left, and the non-player characters are on the right of the screen. You can sort of see there are four pictures on this side of the screen and another 3 on this for a maximum of 7. You have a compass here as well, which tells you in which direction you're facing, whether there are monsters about. Around each portrait is a bar indicating the character's hit points and the spell points. If the character has an active spell or trap, it will be indicated on the character's portrait on the screen shown by pressing the set key. That's the quick reference one. The right of the character portrait is a yellow bar that represents the character's progress from one level of experience to the next. I believe this is new. You have 3 bars, one for health, one for spell points, and one for the experience that you've learned. So essentially, when the bar with the experience is full, you can level up. Ready light, as each character casts a spell or attacks a foe, he or she will need a moment or 2 to recover. Right, this is indicated by the character's ready light, which appears in the lower right corner of his or her character portrait. The ready light goes red while the character recovers, and green when they're ready to perform another action. Right. Speed affects this a great deal. Each time something happens to a member of your party or a character and the party performs an action, a line of action text appears at the bottom of the screen. Right. This is what we always do, Gleeser. We've done this for every game. You can press the T key or click on any character portrait to see specific character information. Press the page up or page down to toggle between the tabs, or simply select any of the 4 tabs to the left of the character portrait to switch between information screens. Select any of the 4 character portraits or press the tab key to switch between characters. Level, class, and experience points. Just above the character name is his or her current level, class, and the total amount of experience. Whenever the character is ready to advance to the next level, the text color will change from black to green. To the right of the character's name are his or her hit points and spell points. When the character hit points reach 0, they fall unconscious. If his or her hit points are reduced to a negative value equal to his or her endurance, the character is dead. If The spell points reach 0, the character must rest or use an inventory item before he or she can cast spells again. Character's armor class is indicated on the shield to the upper left of the character body. Armor class is a statistic indicating how well protected he or she is. The higher the armor class, the harder the character is to damage. Character body, when you need to equip with armor, weapons, or items, place it on the character body. The character's body feat is the total amount of gold your party currently carries. Select the icon in the lower right corner to open the map screen. When you're ready to resume gameplay, select this icon in the lower right corner of the screen or press the escape key to return to the game. Right. This looks very standard and typical. Are you saying Lisa doesn't like to read the manual? These are the basic statistics of the character. Spells, potions, armor, weapons, and etc. can affect them. Stats that are affected by a worn item appear in a different color to indicate that the stat is not permanent, right? Basic stats being might, magic, endurance, accuracy, speed, and luck. They've combined the intellect and personality stat to a new stat called magic, which I sort of don't have a problem with. And they've combined fire, water, earth, and air resistance into a single resistance, which is now called elemental resistance. And then they now have a resistance for dark, light, spirit, and physical magic as well. So there are still 5 levels of magical resistance. They just apply to different things. I think this is actually a good change. I kind of like this change. And then you have the skills screen, which breaks down each of the character's skills and his or her current ability to perform each skill. Skills being broken down into 4 categories: defensive, weapon, magical, and specialty. Use the extra points to increase the skill level of your choice. To use the points, click on the skill you want to spend the points on. And the skill system seems to have been simplified again. And I think this might be the best iteration I've seen of it so far. It was greatly improved in game number... it was slightly improved in game number 7. Improved even more in game number 8. And I think it's finally reaching a point where I sort of agree with it now in game number 9. Then you have the inventory. A list of every item the character carries but is not equipped. This is where I usually fall short because I'm a hoarder in these games and I like to collect all of the things and I constantly run out of space. That's just me. Oddly though, we failed a promotional quest in the last game because I accidentally sold a scroll that we needed to perform a certain action. So I'm not, even though I'm a hoarder, I don't seem to hoard enough. And then you have the spells, which is only accessible if you're a spellcaster. Right. Set quick and quick spell. We don't seem to have 2 different quick spells this time around. It seems to be only a single one. Then you have the map screen, which is perfectly normal, and the node screen pressed by using the N key, where you can see the quests, the auto notes, the journal, the awards you've gotten, and the character information screen. So, been there, done that. Then you see the buy and sell screen. One might think you like being mocked, Gleaser. Or perhaps you don't take it very seriously, which is even better. Okay, this is an interesting system. You can see your inventory and the merchant's inventory at the same time. Fine. And you have the repair and identify. Right. This looks slightly simplified from the previous games, perhaps making better use of the slightly increased real estate that you have. There's a slightly higher resolution used in this game compared to 6, 7, and 8. Then you have the rest screen, which is seems very typical. Perhaps they even solved the issue of wait until dawn, not waiting until 7 or 6 when everything opens. So you would always have to wait until dawn and then wait another hour for everything to be open. You can now quick save using F5 and quick load using F9. Which is a sort of a FPS sort of thing. Exploration. Throughout most of the game, your party will travel on land. You must be careful when you lead your party.
Jellygood just resubscribed for 31 months. More M and Ms.
More M&Ms. Welcome in, Jelly. Thanks for the resub. We've been going through the manual slowly but surely for game number 9 in this endless series of Might and Magic. And we've reached a conclusion largely on how to build a party as well. Probably featuring a half-orc assassin and a human paladin, an elven mage, and a human priest. And then we need to see how we can build the different skills that we need into these characters. Throughout most of the game, your party will travel on land. You must be careful where you lead your party. Walking off a cliff or into a pit can result in dangerous falls, from which your party will likely sustain massive damage. Running jumps can help you across small pits, and careful movement can help you climb up and down steep hills. In the beginning of your adventure, you'll find you're going to have to get a little wet to get to from point A to B. Jump on in the waters. But jump on in the waters, well, wet. Swim the same as you move on land, using the mouse to navigate and the arrow keys to move forward. Get to the surface for air. Roll the mouse upward until you see the water surface and the sky, and continue to press and hold the up arrow key. You can stay underwater for about 15 seconds before you need to come up for air. Otherwise, the entire party will begin to lose hit points. Keep in mind that the water can harbor just as many hostile creatures as land. Will you be the one at a disadvantage because you need air? If you have to swim to it quickly. Right. Traveling by ship is the only way to reach some areas in the game. Travel destinations vary from day to day and from port to port. Yeah, we know this. Do you not use the hotkeys, Gleaser? I use some of them in Might and Magic. I don't always use all of them. I use the ones that I'm most familiar with. Rest is important, without which hit points and spell points will regenerate very slowly. The longer you rest, the better the party will feel. Right. Be sure to have your party rest for at least 8 hours a day in as safe a place as possible. Wandering creatures have no problem setting their sights on your party. Your characters know this and will refuse to let you set up camp when there are hostile creatures nearby. Yeah, you're... Gleaser is very hot. If you want to combine hot and keys, that's Alicia Keys. She's hot and she's named Keys, so she's the hot keys of the world. Lose items. Keep your eyes open as you travel. Adventures that have traveled before you have been known to drop various items, such as pieces of armor, weapons, equipment, and scrolls. You will find that vanquished enemies will leave behind whatever they were carrying. Pick them up, place the crosshair over the item, and press the space key. Right. chests, crates, and drawers, all of which will explode in our faces, buttons and switches. Right. Dungeon entrances. Interior doors. Town doors. Interactions with NPCs. Talking is a good alternative. Talk to a creature, move near it, place across their aura, and press the space key. If they're willing to do so, they will converse with the active characters. When you click on a conversation topic, the creature's response will be displayed. Receiving a quest. Typically, complete the quest by finishing the assigned task and then return it to the person that presented you with it for reward. Right. Promotional quests. That quest you need to accomplish in order to promote your character to the next class. Right. The secondary quests, the small quest you can go on in order to collect experience and money, hiring and fighting NPCs. In your travels, you will come across NPCs that are interested in fighting alongside you. You may choose to take them up on their offer depending on their strengths, weaknesses, and cost per day. You may hire up to 3 NPCs in your party. You can dismiss them by pressing the key relative to his position to bring up the dialogue, and then click on the topic that says we don't need you anymore. So they come at a cost now. It's not like game number 8 where you could just basically hire anybody you wanted. As long as they agreed to join you, which was sort of fun, but somewhat unrealistic as well. Town Citadel consists of a collection of houses, shops, and services. They typically act as places where your party can learn new skills, buy and sell equipment, obtain quests, receive training, and rest. While no place is completely safe, towns are usually safe enough to afford a good night's sleep. Additionally, they're a good source of information, service, and shops. Right. When you enter a shop, initiate a conversation by pressing the space key, usually the person standing behind the counter. Ask him or her to show you their wares or some variation, and the shop screen appears. And buy standard or special items. You can display your inventory. You can sell, repair, identify, learn skills. Right. You can learn skills by buying the books of knowledge in the library or by finding books of knowledge as treasure during the adventure. Really? That's completely new. That's very interesting. That's a new approach to the skills. You don't go into dedicated shops and specialty shops to learn skills. You go into the library and buy books of knowledge, or you find them during your adventure. You used to have to hunt around quite a bit for learning the different skills. There is a weaponsmith where you can find swords, axes, and fighting weapons, as per usual. There's the armorsmith, where you can purchase the helms, the armor, boots, and shields, and so on. There's a magic shop. Some lower level spells from every school of spells. Looking to train? Very good. There's the bank where you can store your gold and items that you don't want to carry with you. Or items. That is very useful. When your party dies, gold is taken from the party's pouch, but not the bank account. So if you put the money into the bank... Interesting. There's the tavern where you go and drink and pick up on the latest gossip. They have added this element again. Been a while since this was here. Get a quest or hire an RPC. Really? There was really no point in the tavern in 6, 7, and 8 except to just buy food or play Archomage. They've sort of added hiring an NPC back in here, which used to be in the inn but is now in the tavern. They've added the gossip again. And then now you can get quests as well. This is interesting. There's the apothecary where you can buy potions, wands, and magical items. So there's only really the magic shop and the apothecary now. There's the temple where you can take the injured to be healed. There's a general store which has a little bit of everything. Right. That's a sort of a mix between the magic shop and the apothecary and the probably the weapon store. There's a dock where you purchase passage to other oceanside towns, the town hall where you go to find your way if you're lost, and the library where you go to buy books of knowledge. This is interesting. Yeah, I know you like the Arkham Age stuff. I don't think I played a single game of Arkham Age in game number 8. I could have, but I didn't. Combat takes place on the adventure screen. Characters with magical abilities may cast spells during combat. Cast the character's choosing quick spell. Right click on the target. If you don't target a hostile creature, a nearby creature will be targeted automatically. Also access the active character spellbook by pressing the B key, which makes no sense. Why is it not C for cast? Left click is attack. Right click is spell or ranged weapons. B is spellbook. Enter is toggle between real-time and turn-based. We know how that works. We don't really need to read how that works, how you switch to real-time and turn-based. We've been there, done that for many games now in a row. The damage, physical wounds, which you can heal with curative spells or potions or by resting. When you fall below 0, you become unconscious. You can also be weak. You can be poisoned and diseased, insane and afraid, cursed and paralyzed. This is not new. Experience points and leveling. A character eligible to train must do so at a training hall. Training halls are located in towns throughout Shetian. They charge a fee and most have a limit of how far they can train. When you gain a new level, you will increase your maximum hit and spell points. Early levels, you receive 5 points to spend on advancing the levels of skills. This number increases by 1 every 5 levels thereafter, so you get 6 at 10 to 19 or 7 at levels 20 to 29. The party can receive special quests called promotional quests. Certain people that the party meets will be empowered to grant class rank on characters of a particular character class. Before they do this, they will ask the party to prove its worth by completing a promotional quest. Gaining the new rank increases the number of spell points and hit points a character receives per level. This will also allow the character to learn new skills and to learn other skills at higher levels of expertise. It's been a while since I updated this, Manic Viner. Can I just call you Amiga Gamer? Manic Viner. Are you rebranding? Spells may also be cast from scrolls and wands. Each scroll having one spell written on it can be used once. Right. Characters can drink potions in order to gain a wide variety of benefits. They can be purchased, found, or created to have a character drink it. Pick up a potion out of a character's inventory and place it on the character body or portrait. Play the Spectrum mode and you complain a lot. Right. Is this the last page of this manual? Is this it? There's no real mention of... they don't really tell you which classes can learn which skills. Or whether there's a limitation of how far you can learn the skills for each character. So I guess we're going in a lot more blind than we were in game number 8. Complaining a lot is a major part of every stream, Gleaser. It's sort of what streaming is about. But I did far less complaining in game number 8 than I did in game number 7, where I did a lot of complaining. Yeah, more unbranding. I see your point, Maniguano. It can be quite annoying to be tied to a particular platform. My Stream Deck broke due to the upgrade of OBS to 13.10, so I'm manually searching for this. I'm manually searching for this. Then I'm going to manually fire this up.
In times past, the ancients traveled to many places. They seeded many worlds. One known as Axioth has changed much since the ancients left. Many battles have been fought. Lands have been conquered. Empires have been forged and destroyed. In the face of monumental obstacles, great achievements have been made.
I should probably raise the volume a bit. Start again.
Past, the ancients traveled to many places. They seeded many worlds. One known as Axioth has changed much since the ancients left. Many battles have been fought. Lands have been conquered. Empires have been forged and destroyed. In the face of monumental obstacles, great achievements have been made. And lost. Leaders have been born and made into heroes. And then into legends. Monuments are carved to commemorate those fallen in battle. The legends continue.
Yeah, we read the lore, Gleaser. We read the lore. It was the first part of the manual, really. I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. I think I'll turn down the microphone volume just a little bit as well. And then we should probably get going. Always Run is on, Blood Spiles is on. I don't know if we want to invert the mouse or not. I don't think we want to. It seems like a good crosshair. Detailed textures we definitely want. I think we can very easily turn on all of these options on. I'm going to turn the sound effects down a little bit. I'm going to turn the musical volume up quite a bit. Set the master volume to the max. Not going to fiddle with the controls just yet. That didn't come across clear. After the events of Heroes of Might and Magic 3, the entire planet exploded due to a war between the humans. Yeah, it sort of alluded to a mage doing a substantial amount of damage during some fight they had. Böðvar, really? Don't think we're going to have a Böðvar. This is going to be our friend Lansing a lot. He's not going to be human. He's going to be a half orc male. He's going to be a fighter.
I'll go with you.
I go with you.
Pick me. Come on, pick me. Pick me. Come on, pick me. Pick me. Pick me. Pick me. Come on, pick me. I'm the one you want.
Assertive seems right. He starts with the blade and armor skills. We can have him have up to 2 different skills. We'll see what we pick. Don't need magic. Here's what Mathematic is accessible now with improvements to the free engine. Cool. This is not particularly accessible. The GOG version comes with a lot of patches, so if you want to be able to play it, at least the GOG version is playable. But I still had issues because it uses direct sound, and there is something in the direct sound input DLL which causes the game to crash if you have an additional sound card. So I found on GitHub someone that had made a patch for the DLL, which I was able to extract to get it to stop crashing on startup. So it's an old game, but it was also broken. So it requires quite a bit of patching just to get it working decently. We have 13 points. We definitely want more might. We want more endurance. And then we want more accuracy, speed, and luck. Question is how high we can put these. A little bit higher. We could put the might to 19 or 21. Put the might to 21, we can put the endurance to 18, and we can put accuracy, speed, and luck all to 11. I think that's a good idea. We definitely want the shield.
Ponder PRG just resubscribed for 42 months. It's the answer.
It's the answer to what, though? Is it 42? Welcome in, Ponder. Thanks a lot for the resub. Now, there are definitely things that we need here. based on previous games, I'm going to go with the item repair. So I'm going to have him have the shield and item repair, both of which we desperately need. There's no way to get around those two. We are playing the black sheep of the Might and Magic family, but that's also because we played 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So now we're playing 9. Then we'll play 10. Then we'll go back and play 1 to round up the series. Then we'll probably play the combination patch of 6, 7, and 8 again. Just for fun. But, that's launching a lot. I think we're happy with him. Then there's the...
Pick me. Sorry? Pick me. Pick me.
And there's the Paladin.
I go with pick me. All right, let's go. Pick me. All right, let's go.
Do we want a sarcastic Paladin? Or do we want a happy Paladin?
Come on, pick me. Just the hero for you.
I'm not sure. Not sure what we want here. We're on a bit of a bind here. Because we definitely want all of these, but we also want Might and Magic here. Endurance 13, Might 16, Magic 15. I guess so. 1 from the luck, 1 more endurance point. Or 1 more magic point, 16, 16, 13. Maybe. He starts with the elemental and spirit skills. We can pick 2 of the following. We want light. And what do we want more? It doesn't really say which one of these, how much you can upgrade these different skills. There used to be a limit for sure. We'll take perception though. He's not going to be Swain. What shall we call him? What did we call the paladin in the second game? Does anyone remember what we called him? Friar Tuck. It was a while ago. This is launching a lot. This is Friar Tuck. I like this. Angry elf. What are our options here, really?
Sorry? I'm here to play. Pick me. I'm here to play.
Pick me.
Let me in.
Pick me.
Pick me.
Choose me.
Pick me.
Pick me.
Choose me. What's up?
Hey.
Pick me. Sorry. Pick me.
Pick me.
Let me.
Pick me.
Come on.
I go.
I'll do.
Pick.
Choose. Come on. I'm sorry. Pick
You will always
This has absolutely no impact on this. This, however, does. Now we definitely need to identify monster. And we need bow.
choose me. I'm here to play.
And accuracy is very cheap here. We'll buff that right up. What is expensive is endurance. We can have 13, 13, and 17 with 11 and 10. Need more magic though. You can have 13, 16, 12, and 17. Thirteen, 17, 12, 17, 10, and 9. That's pretty much it. Shall we take a light instead of identify monster? Light and bow. Trust on being able to find the other one. Probably find the other one. That's actually the tricks. And that's a human male. Latent armor, elemental and spirit. Light and identify. Early bow is always great, yeah. But, it isn't really. Here, for example, we could go away with identify item. I think light is also very important. I'm trusting on being able to find the bow pretty early on. It's a crapshoot for sure. We won't really know until we start playing whether I'm making the right choices or not. Now, we need a balance here. Doesn't need very much in the way of might, but he needs quite a bit in the way of magic. 13, 18, 13, 11, 11, 11. We will want him as a bowcaster. No, as a bow user pretty early on. We do however need identify item. We need perception and we need item repair. That's sort of the things where we need. We also need disarm trap really. Which is really only here. Item repair, disarm trap, identify item, and bow, essentially. Let's try it this way. What can I do for you? We'd like to start our training. I knew this day would come when your thirst for adventure would grow too strong. To be quenched here in Ravensford, very well, I shall help you with your training. Take these scrolls to begin with. They will tell you all you need to know about the interface. Have a look around this machine. Click on the buttons. There are things you may encounter in the world. Some may help you, others may kill. What to do when we're finished. When you finished all the scrolls, come back and visit me before you leave. I have something left to give you. Goodbye, Grandpa. Or sword. Damage 2 to 8, quality normal, skill blade. This type of sword is often taken in raids of the far south. Value is 50. That seems rather crap. A padded leather jacket usually worn under more armor. Right. Basic shield. Some sort of ring. Which does nothing. Interface can be accessed in many ways. O will bring up the Q is the quick quest nodes. T is the inventory. Tab allows you to switch between the characters. M is the map screen. N is the auto nodes. J is the journal page. B is the spell book. Z is the quick reference. Rest will bring up the rest screen. G shows you information about the monster in your crosshairs. If you have the identify monster skill. If you get stuck behind a slow-moving peasant, you can always try to get them out of your way by pressing the Y key. Right. Once you've entered the menu, you can switch between your characters by pressing the tab key, or you can click on the face of the character you wish to select. There are tabs along the sides, which when clicked on allow you to change screens. If you wish to switch between the character information and node screen, click on the screen toggle button just above the check button. This allows you to toggle between the two types of screens. If you aren't sure what something is or what it does, right click on it. You will be provided with a little bit of information on what it is that you're clicking on. To use or equip an item, double click on it. If your character is unable to use or equip on any particular item, a dialog box will pop up telling you why the item can't be used or equipped. Note that if you already have an item equipped in a particular slot, you will have to unequip it before you can put something new in the slot. If you have an item that you want to trade to another person, click, hold and drag it over the face of the party member you want to give it to. If you want to drop an item, highlight it and press the delete key. To use an item in the world, center the crosshair over it and press the space key. If you have any more questions about the interface, refer to the manual. Right. Go away.
That'll bring some hurt to someone. Oh,
Oh, yeah.
That'll work. That'll work.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Did we just accidentally use some cure wounds potions? That's probably not exactly what we wanted to do, but fine. What's the map display? Don't need this, nor do we need this.
That'll bring someone useful. Oh yeah.
That'll work.
Oh yeah. That'll be useful.
Right. Save. It's gonna take some getting used to this. Unsure as to exactly. I want to turn this head bob off, but yeah, invert makes absolutely no sense. Probably want more sensitivity rather than less. Still a little jerky, but within reason. Yeah, this is probably a little bit too much. Yeah, adjust this a bit. Figure out sort of feels comfortable. It's a little bit more. It's probably somewhere around here. Slightly worried that you guys will get seasick with this stuff. The movement is a bit jerky. Right. honestly think that might be setting it to the highest possible setting. Then just going easy on the mouse might be the best option. Yes, you're strong enough, good luck. You can find a boat waiting at the dock to the north. I don't expect it to see you again. You've always been too big for Ravensworth. I'm sure you'll find your destiny out there somewhere, not here. Have some things left to give you. They will impart knowledge that may keep you alive. Farewell. Right. This is the scroll of the bugs. The scroll of minds. Scroll of sparks. This scroll contains instructions on classes. It's very important to plan out your character development early, as once you've chosen a path, you will not be able to go back. Assassins and gladiators must start as fighters, followed by mercenary. Rangers and paladins must start as fighters, then be promoted to crusader. Mages and leeches must start as initiates, then become scholars, and priests and druids must start as initiates, then become healers to continue, pick up, and use the scroll titled Notes. To help keep track of what you've done, there's a series of pages called the note screen. To access any of these screens, see the scroll titled Interface 1. The most important of these screens are the auto notes and the quest notes. The quest notes keep track of all the tasks you haven't finished and a rough description of what you have to do. If you ever get stuck, refer to this screen to help you find your way. The auto note screen keeps track of important things you've discovered in your game, such as where you may find an expert teacher if you've already stumbled across him. If you ever find yourself looking for someone, just cannot remember where he is, consult your auto note screen. You also have a journal and an awards page. The journal is a living document, keeping track of the story thus far. If you want to know what has been happening in the game, consult the journal page. The awards page keeps track of some of the major quests you've completed, as well as the awards you've received. If you want to check out the progress of your character's sketches, check this page. To continue, go to the general store, pick up, and use the scroll titled Shopkeepers. If you don't have a spellcaster in your party, you may skip this by picking up and using the scroll titled Skills. You learn spells in the same manner that you would use any other item by double-clicking on it in the inventory. If you have any questions about what skills are required to use the spell, you can highlight it and either check the quick info box to the left of your inventory or right-click on it to obtain more information. Once your character has learned the spell, they may be cast by opening the spell book by pressing B and double-clicking on the spell. If it requires you to pick a target, you will be presented with a pointer. Otherwise, the spell will be cast where your cursor is pointing. There are a few spells scattered around if you wish to practice this. A spell scroll is a one-shot casting of a spell. No previous knowledge of the spell is required. To use them, double-click as you would any other item. Set your quick spell, open the spellbook by pressing B and highlight one spell by clicking on it, then click the button that says Set Quick to set your quick spell. As long as you have a quick spell set, you may cast it by pressing the right button when the character is highlighted. Any questions on what the spell does, right-click it on your spellbook or refer to the manual. Right. Skills are one of the most important aspects of the game, and managing your skill points wisely is imperative to being successful. To learn a new skill, you have to use a skill book by double-clicking on it. You may find skill books while you are adventuring in the world, or you may purchase them from libraries for a price. Whenever your character gains a level, they will be awarded a certain amount of skill points that they may spend to improve various skills. To spend a skill point, you simply click on the skill you wish to spend it on. You need to have at least one more point on that level of skill. You have to advance it one rank. After your character reaches a certain level of skill, they may train that skill up to an expert, master, or even as high as grandmaster. Depending on the skill and what class they've chosen, those levels of skill are 4, 7, and 10 respectively. To increase your mastery in a skill, you will have to find a teacher who is willing to increase your knowledge in that skill. These teachers can be found throughout the world. Here's one tip for finding teachers. Like skilled teachers normally can be found in the same town, the sword expert teacher and the cudgel expert teacher are probably nearby. To move on, pick up and use the scroll titled classes. Strategy tips. Use the bank. You never know when you lose money. Talk to everyone. There may be a valuable source of information. If it isn't nailed down, take it. Examine everything. It's better to specialize in a few skills than generalize. Plan your character carefully because there's no going back. If in doubt, either kill it or run. There are times when you will have to use strategy to succeed. A well-balanced party is your friend. There are rumors of the existence of black chests that are heavily trapped but well worth the risk. A saved party is safer than a dead party without a save. Save your game and save often. For useful and important information, check the taverns, temples, and town halls. Don't forget that the Jarls have palaces. They're often a great place to get information and even quests. Right. This allows the character to learn disarm trap skill at normal level, and this allows the character to learn identify item skill at normal level. These are given to you. That is very interesting.
I am Sheltum, Guardian
Guardian
of
of
Terra.
Terra. Hey there, Josh. Disarm and identify are given. Interesting. We will start fresh because we will maximize what we can get here. Won't take very long. We don't. The item repair we need, but the disarm trap and identify we get for free. We do need the item repair. That's that's Friar Tuck. It's a human male. Sarcastic one at that. Needs a certain level of might and a certain level of magic. We'll bump down these elements to give him slightly more endurance. She will get the light and the bow, a high degree of accuracy, slightly more might. He has shield and item repair, he has bow and light, she has bow and light. She will get, or he will get. What shall we name the priest? What shall we name the priest? This was Hexia the Tricks. This was Sir Lancelot. This was Friar Tuck. Wasn't Friar Tuck the cleric? What did we name the paladin at the time? Does anyone remember that? I certainly don't. Wonder if I have these somewhere. Been a second since we played this. I do. This was Sir Lancelot. This was Sir Roland. We called her Magica the Spell. And we called him Friar Tuck. That's correct. I think this is what we're going for after playing around with this a bit. We discovered that we get some things for free. Important in the healer to have more hit points. You'll have to live with her, having a few less. It's just the way it is. Already gone through this nonsense with this guy. Don't need to read this again. Learn these spells. Okay. Okay. Pick all of these up. We've read through most of these. Being able to pick up these additional skills is really valuable. We read these. Read these. We read these. We read these. Get these scrolls over here. Now disarm trap skill and the identify item skill. It's just a question of who gets what.
Sure.
Yes.
He's an initiate, not a fighter. Guess we're gonna have to go through this again. Swear this is the last time we do this.
Come on, pick me. Hey, over here. All right, I go. Come on, pick me. Pick me.
Assertive, might, endurance.
Pick me.
Pick me.
Pick me.
Pick me.
Might, endurance, shield, repair, might and magic, as well as endurance, light, fighter. He can't get the light. He can get the shield and the bow. Right. We want magic pretty high. We want accuracy pretty high. And we want endurance slightly higher. Exactly what we want. Low, light.
Pick me.
Choose me. Hey, over here. Come on. Just the hero
This,
for you.
this is the happy guy. Want this magic to be pretty high. Want this endurance to be pretty high. Use this a bit. Light and bow. Bow and shield. Repair. Right. Did I forget to change the name? Start with the names. The thing is, it changes things that you've already set when you move things about. Annoyingly enough. These two like this. This is correct now. This is a very annoying trait that it does this. Makes this quite a bit more annoying than it has to be. I want him to be an orc. This is at least correct. Half orc, male, assertive. Human, male, arrogant. Female, angry. And male, happy. That's all correct. I swear. Shield. Item repair. Shield. Bow. Light. Bow. Light. Bow. And it's just a matter of setting this, using this as much as we can. This is all correct, right? Here we want both might and magic. Plus we want some level of endurance as well. Here we want to boost accuracy, and we want to boost magic. It's probably what we want, actually. It'd be like this. Here we want lots of might, magic, and definitely some endurance. That's probably it, right? Names are correct. This is correct. The voices are correct. The settings are correct. The skills are correct. We're done here. I swear. Not doing this again. Might as well go through this ritual here. I'm not sure whether we get the same items in all cases.
This one will do.
Right. Take these scrolls. Put them over here. And delete all of these. We've read them. Where are our skills? Did we get them from this guy? Yes, he gives them to us. He gives them to us.
Sure. All right.
Right. Disarm, trap, the repair, armor and shield. Oh, elemental light and spirit. Oh, elemental light and spirit and identify. Blade and bow, armor and shield. Armor and shield, blade, disarm and item repair. I think we're largely good here. We have identify, we have disarm, we have item repair. These are definite musts. And we also have a lot of bow. It's very nice. I think we're ready to see the world. Is there anything else to be seen here? What the hell are these things? Interesting. It's a demo. Interesting. Nothing to see here. Moving along. Another demo. The one skill we don't have, I think, is perception. Might need that at some point. That's the bank. Town gates. Always looking a little bit more like a like a 3D world. There are numerous different shops throughout the world, each providing a different service or selection of wares. Begin a transaction with the merchant. Begin conversing with him. Tell him we would like to see your wares or whatever variant of that is offered. He will present you with a new screen. On the left is the inventory of items he has for sale. On the right is the inventory of the currently selected character. Pay attention to who it is conducting the transaction. Will be that character's merchant skills that will be affecting the price of the items he has. To purchase an item, double click on the item you wish to purchase. If you have enough gold, the item will be added to your inventory. Don't have enough, your character will tell you so. Wish to sell. The same procedure except with items in your inventory. The hotel will probably pay you less for the same item than you would have to pay him for. Quickly sell an item, highlight it, and press Shift S. Right. A merchant is also able to repair or identify items for you. To do so, click the related button underneath your character portrait and will repair. The magnifying glass will identify. Once you've turned the toggle on, click the item you wish to repair or identify. Not all shopkeepers have things to sell. Banker is a good place to store your gold. Never know when your death may exact this price. If your money isn't in a bank, it's fair game. If you're injured, the safest place to rest in town is at a tavern. The innkeeper will rent you a room for free. Wish to conduct any transaction. The tavern is across the street from the general store and the bank is around the corner. Right. Not do anything with this store. That's the tavern. I'd like to ask you some questions. All right, do you have any news? That's Thorkatla, the Indiscreet. She's heard that cowards live longer than adventurers, which is probably true. What do you know about adventuring? If you want my advice, don't do it. That's one occupation that's hazardous to your health. What do you know about Mendoza's? My husband went on the raid that they now call the Battle of Farndale. He didn't come back. Right. Right. Not a lot to do in here, is there? Git. That's the trainer. You're probably already a little bit familiar with the movement interface, but in case you missed something, we'll go over it again. VAST is forward, backward, sidestep, and so on. Left arrow is turn left, right arrow is turn right. Base is use, axis jump, C is crouch. Mouse is equipped with the mouse look. Take some time to getting used to moving and mouse looking. May spend some time practicing here at times in order to navigate around an obstacle. You may have to jump over it. Right. In there. On that. Yeah, it's using mouse look. Not actually a big fan. Well, there's also a crouch. buttons here. Various switches. You will most certainly be faced with a door you will have to open, a lever you will have to pull, or an item you have to pick up. To do any of these, walk close, enter the crosser and press the space key. In various places you will find a pedestal of town portal. These were used during the old Ursian days when the Emperor needed to move around quickly. They've fallen into disrepair and have become unusable. Should you find one of these, you have to use it to clean it off before you can town portal to that location. Interesting. Right. So you have to get into the town, do a bit of a cleanup. Or you can portal to it. Interesting. What the hell are we doing here? In all likelihood, you will be faced with a great deal of combat. At times it may be unavoidable. The first thing you should pay attention to when walking is an unfamiliar place. In an unfamiliar place is a gem in the top right corner of your screen. When it's green, everything is fine. There are no monsters around. It's safe to attempt to rest. When it turns yellow, a monster is nearby or is alerted to your presence. You'll not be able to rest. The gem is red. The monster has targeted and is either on his way or already attacking you. If anyone in your party has the Identify Monster skill, you may get monster information by pressing the G key. Okay, it's not actually required that the person that has the Identify Monster is active, which is new. Once you're in combat or attack a monster who's not yet aware, you have several options. You may attack with a left, which will attempt to attack the monster with a bow or thrown weapon. If the character is unable to do that, you will attempt to hit the monster. If the character is unable to attempt to hit the monster, you will block for that turn. You may also choose to attack with the right. This is the same as the left, except that before the character attempts to do a ranged attack, they will try to cast a quick spell. You may also enter combat by going into the spell book and pressing B and double-clicking an attack spell. Once combat is over, the monsters will bury themselves and leave behind a treasure bag to pack it up. Use space on it if combat gets too crazy. You can enter turn-based mode by pressing enter. This slows it down so you can strategically plan your attacks. In this mode, everyone gets their own turn. There are times when this mode will be absolutely necessary in order to succeed. Which is pretty much every time, because we like turn-based combat, don't we? Delete these so we don't keep them around. Be a little bit difficult to get back from this nonsense. How does one climb down the stairs? Very carefully is probably the right answer. Because this is a little bit too sensitive, but it's both too sensitive and not sensitive enough at the same time. Oddly enough. This is this part again. That's Grandpa's place. It's the bank again. Not sure there's a great deal of stuff left in here, really. I think this is pretty much it. Yeah, this is calm down, Jessica. It's not actually enter. It's not actually enter to enter turn-based. It's didn't we quick save later than this? What we did. Never mind. It's return to not enter. We already have finished this. It's good to know that it's not actually enter. The game is very fast. So we got slaughtered by this thing. I'm feeling we're going to have to play in turn-based mode for the entirety of this because there's just no way we can fight at this speed. It's essentially ludicrous speed. Which one is active? It's actually very difficult to see which character is active in combat. It seems that you every time you press, the entire party seems to act, not just one character. Yeah. That's essentially what happens. Let's go back into town. Some healing is required. Feeling better. Yeah, let's not bother with that geyser. I will just have to bump our heads against that when it arrives. The tower reminds you of the opening titles of Unreal. Okay. Okay. This is all of her spells.
Let me cast it now.
So set hers to Elemental Bolt. And his as well. I remain somewhat unsure during combat. We'll see how we can approach this. I have to learn how this works a bit. Could have used a little bit more target practice. Good night, Panther. Thanks for coming in.
Long years have passed since the last GDN raid on Mendoza's. After the tremendous losses at the Battle of Farndale, men were not as eager to go to their deaths. A few have tried. None have returned. Our restless warriors have a thirst for glory and riches that cannot be quenched in Chadian. Our warriors will find what they seek. Mendoza's is profitable. The fate we wrote for ourselves was to return to Mendoza's to recapture the glory of our fathers. But not on this day.
Yeah, this is starting to look more and more like a modern game. ...2003... 'There's a massive change in the UI, yes, and one of the elements that's proving very difficult at the moment is the speed at which the mouse moves. It's very hard to not jump over a character. So I will have to if this is a thing, we might have to find some way of slowing the game down. No, it's essentially it's cocaine mouse or heavy dose of amphetamines mouse. Somewhat disappointed that none of these monsters have left any sort of loot yet. That's definitely a chest though. It's a scroll of... Phantom Fighter spell. Chain boots. Scrolls. Requires an expert level of spirit magic. Nowhere near that yet. Sort of makes you wonder if we've accidentally skipped ahead a bit in the game. We'll see. Music is good though. Still skipping. Still skipping very, very quickly. That's going to be a problem. We need to figure out a way to get around that. Not sure we're going to get out of this one alive. Yeah, we are.
This'll work.
Taking quite a bit of damage, aren't we? Is that back to where we came from? Yes. Just onwards. This is not a friendly place. Must be said that it's a very quick way to fight, but it's obviously an issue. Yeah, it's very odd. It's not proportional to anything. And this issue with the speed of the combat not really being on a per character basis is going to be a massive problem. And that's a problem that we're going to have to solve for next stream. To find a solution to that. Which of them had the repair he did? That doesn't look like a bad guy. It's not. Yeah, good night, Gleason. I'm not gonna stay on much longer anyway. Trying to figure out how this works, but... Okay, we finally got something for defeating the monsters. Did we maybe get some bags for defeating some of them earlier, but they're just so small that we didn't see them? I hope that's not the case. It was a tiny, tiny, tiny bag. Yeah, good night, Gleaser. I will probably keep on going for like 10 more minutes or something. Not much more. Where are we? That's Ursa the troll. There you are. I will tell you that all in good time. I will be more than willing to help you. First, though, you will help me. There's a group of dragonflies who have been pestering me to no end, just through that tunnel there. Go through it and kill them. What do you know about the big tower? Those are the VIII ruins. That is the tower where VIII himself cast the spell that caused the great cataclysm. Don't go in there. It's very bad in there unless, of course, you want to be killed. Right. We are very, very weak. We're going to die here. Fairly sure. Although, might perhaps get extraordinarily lucky. Who knows? First death. There should be one.
Oh, it's you. It's not your time yet. You aren't even on my list. You have to go back.
Right. We shall figure out a way to slow down this combat to a level where we can actually play. There's just absolutely no way that we can play without this, at least not at the start of the game, without it being on a per person sort of level where we can set which spells we're going to cast and so on. It's just almost impossible. And, it also means that the monster gets so many chances to just kill us, and we have so little in the way of hit points and so on. It becomes massively difficult to do. Let's not even try. This was interesting. I'll have to figure out a way to slow this down. I'm sure there's a patch. Might be more than one, actually. How many of you are still here? 10 of you. Let's see if we can't find somebody to raid. There's another funny little quirk about this game in that it sets itself up in the absolute smack center of the screen, and it's just very little you can actually do about that. So I sort of have to shut it down to be able to see what I'm doing, because it centers itself all the time. And even if I manually move the window, as soon as I click it again, it automatically set itself to the center again. Let me see who's on here. Who are the ARC TeamSpeak boys, Josh? Doesn't really seem to be a lot of. Right. Might as well. There's very few people from the retro world on at the moment. Almost none, in fact. I'll set up the raid. Thanks for coming in, guys. We're back at this next week. Part 2 of this. I'll have to do a little bit of patching and prodding to get that to work. Thanks for coming in, guys. I'll switch to the outro and then we'll do the raid. See you here in a week's time. Good night.